Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and welcome back to the Batman Beyond retrospective. This is covering episode 5, Meltdown. That's right, Mr. Freeze is back. So the episode starts off with Batman having to bust up a nuclear waste dumping that Derek Powers' henchmen had been doing. Of course, after Batman had foiled his plans, Derek Powers, while in his office, realizes that his skin was molting the more and more he got stressed, especially since what happened back at episode 1 where the nerve gas interacted with his cells. So now, realizing that he needs a new body, a scientist by the name of Stephanie Lake decides that she wants to help Derek Powers, but first test this procedure on Victor Freeze to give Mr. Freeze a new body. So Freeze undergoes the treatment and he gets a new body. So, of course, since Freeze has returned, of course, Bruce Wayne wants Terry McGinnis, aka the new Batman, to follow Mr. Freeze. Basically realizing that he doesn't trust Mr. Freeze. Given the history between Bruce and Victor, I feel that is basically a legitimate reason. So Terry had been following Victor, realizing that Victor had wanted to reform, since gaining this new body, a chance to start over. Yeah, the DCAU really loves their villain reform stories, kind of like what they did with Harley's Holiday and Birds of a Feather back in Batman the Animated Series. But Victor's is probably the most tragic of them all here in Batman Beyond. But of course, at the cemetery where Victor and Stephanie Lake visit the grave dedicated that had Victor's name on it, a would-be assassin tries to assassinate Victor, but Batman comes to the rescue and quickly disarms the assassin and takes the assassin down. However, the assassin was a victim that had been wronged by Mr. Freeze in the past. So, Mr. Freeze promised to make amends to everyone that he had victimized. So, Freeze had also put his money in a blind trust before he went to prison. However, Freeze began realizing something had been wrong with his new body. Freeze began to revert. Of course, Stephanie tells Derek Powers that there was a hidden enzyme within Victor's DNA. So, she decides to harvest Victor's organs. But Victor escapes, realizing Stephanie was going to betray him. Victor runs off into the cold. And, of course, he comes back moments later with a new battle suit. This new Freeze suit ditches the traditional freeze gun for freezing gauntlets. And I gotta say, this is the most badass looking suit Mr. Freeze has ever been in. Probably my favorite Mr. Freeze suit of all time. Next to the Arkham games and possibly the animated series itself. But this one has gotta be an absolute winner for me. Freeze freezes Stephanie, but as well as attacks Derek Powers. And then a fight ensues between him and the new Batman, as soon as Batman sees that Freeze has come back to attack the complex. But then Blight joins the fight, especially after Derek Powers sheds his skin. And we get our first official interaction between Blight and Batman in this climactic three-way final battle. It was an epic three-way final battle, and I loved it. Especially right when Freeze saves Terry from Blight. And Blight gets knocked into a frozen lake after being sent all the way across town. Of course, Terry tries to beg Freeze, "You gotta get out of there." But Freeze is like, "Believe me, it is for the best." And Freeze basically dies as the complex collapsed. Terry got out, but Victor, it's a shame he practically dies. Yes, this was Mr. Freeze's swan song. It's like, wow, karma just keeps... It's like the universe just really hates Victor Freeze in this universe. And I feel sorry for Victor. Even in this stage, I still feel sorry for him. But then again, this was Bruce Timm and his team who wrote Mr. Freeze the best way they can. Anyway, the episode ends after Bruce says, "We were both right. We were both right, Terry. We were both right about Victor. That Victor wanted to change. That Victor wanted to start a new life. But yet again, nature had to be such a bitch." Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'll see you guys next time for Episode 6, Heroes. See ya!